In tonight's Top Gear. The most relaxing way to spend £280,000 on a car. Richard reveals our budget Bond car. And a floppy-haired star in our reasonably priced car. But first, 10 years ago, if you wanted air conditioning, anti-lock brakes, or an airbag, you had to buy a big, expensive car. But today, it's all available on a simple family hatchback like this Golf. So, to work out what sort of kit's going to be fitted as standard to the family cars of the future, all you have to do is look at the stuff that's being fitted to today's big, expensive cars. And the king of the big, expensive cars is the technological trailblazer of the last 30 years, the S-Class Mercedes-Benz. This is the latest S-Class, now available with a very economical twin-turbo 6-litre. I don't mean economical, do I? It's the wrong word. Massive, massive V12 engine. But I'm not very interested in that. I'm more interested in the toys. But before I could check them out, I had to get in character. If you could just pop my briefcase in the car for me. Thank you. See, what he doesn't realise is he's not going to be able to, because I've got this little credit card in my pocket. Now, when I walk up to the car, it'll recognise that and open itself. Can you not do it?
No, sir.
Perfectly simple, look. You just walk up and open the door like that. Thank you. And now you're sacked. There we are. As long as you've got this in your pocket, you don't need a key to start it either. You just touch the top of the gear lever. And that's just the start of it. That tells me how many malfunctions there are on the car. It's German, so there are none. There are 140 motors in this car, only one of which is the engine. This button here raises and lowers the rear roller blind. This one, if you push it once, car goes up a little bit. If you want to go a little bit off-road and then push it again, it goes up even more. If you want to go a lot off-road. If you've got the sports suspension engaged and you go around a left-handed corner, you're thrown this way, it'll actually tighten that bolster, it'll pull it round to hold you in the seat. That lowers the rear head restraints. Quite good fun, that, if someone's fallen asleep in the back. And if you push this one, where it says pulse, these inflate and deflate and move about. So it's really like having a little Vietnamese girl in there massaging you as you drive along. This one's the telephone, perfectly straightforward, it's kept in here. That's the satellite navigation, that's the CD player, and you can memorise all the seat positions on these things here. Just push that, that's my driving position, that can be my wife's, and that can be my butler's. Except, of course, I've sacked him. Naturally, they're stuffed and padded with Amazonian coconut husks. This one turns off the audible parking sensors. This one engages sport suspension. And best of all, if you have an accident, in the time it takes to yelp, no matter how you've got the seat arranged, it'll go poof and arrange itself so that you're perfectly positioned for being hurled into the airbag. Makes crashing very comfortable. It's got 4 aerials in each one of the pillars. These are all the radio stations it can pick up. Some of them aren't even from this planet. Now, this one enables me to select how long I want the rear number plate light to stay on after I get out at night. What kind of a meeting did they have where they went, have this sort of everything here? It's a rear number plate light. How long should it stay on after they get out of the car? Dial name.
The name, please.
Wilman. Wilman.
Dialing.
This is the producer of the show. We can just ring him up. I don't need to take my hands off the wheel or anything. Probably be in the ivy, having peach and peacock.
Just getting in the car park. Can I call you in 2 seconds when I get in the office?
There you go, you see? Doesn't even want to talk to me. The only problem with this feature is that you have to teach it all the various numbers and names, and that can be quite tricky. Store name.
The number, please.
07710.
27710.
You see, that's not what I said, is it? Now listen, woman, when I speak to you. 349.
249.
I said 3.
710. Please continue.
No, you've got it wrong.
020 26711010. Dial number.
Shut up.
Store number.
Shut up.
Delete number. Confirm number. Correction. Pardon?
I haven't said anything yet. Store.
Function not possible at this time.
I'm not going to be defeated here. 349.
2005249.
349.
The number is deleted. Please continue. 249.
Why don't you listen?
Dialing.
No, don't dial that. I don't know who that is. That might be the Queen. 033.
033.
Store.
Name and number are stored.
Yes! We're there! We're there! Then we've got these buttons down here. This one repeats the last instruction from the satellite navigation. This one steers you round tailbacks that are ahead of you. This one brings up a map of where you are. It's gone dark. When did that happen? I haven't finished yet. Delete Radio 1 forever.
Would you like to delete?
Wilman.
No, I don't want to delete Wilman. I've just put him in. I've been hours putting him in. All afternoon I've been putting him in.
Cancel.
What? You haven't cancelled him? I've just put him in. No! No, 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 no.
You didn't drive it?
No, and I can explain why. This, okay, this is Simon Sharma's new book, History of Britain. He manages to condense into 558 pages, okay, the whole history of Britain. These are the handbooks for the Mercedes. 720 pages before you can set off.
Longer than the history of Britain.
Exactly.
But if we get all these clever toys in on just ordinary cars in the future, in 10 years' time, whenever, we won't go anywhere, will we?
Not quickly, no. I mean, you won't just be able to pop to the shops anymore without having to just get the brightness just so on the vanity mirror light. Just a little bit more, a little bit. That's on page 486 of the handbook. But I did eventually get this going, and I took it to the one place where it absolutely shines. It's here on the motorway that we find the most astonishing feature of them all, the radar-guided cruise control. Let me show you how it works. I set it to 70 miles an hour, like so, foot off the accelerator, and I'm doing 70, but what? If I pull onto the inside lane behind this truck, I'm not touching the brakes, I'm not touching anything, and we're slowing down. It's going to get me to 150 feet behind that truck, and I will stay at that distance doing the same speed that it's doing forever. And then when I've had enough, I simply pull into the middle lane. Truck's no longer there. It recognizes that, and we're speeding up again.
Follow the road until further instructions.
So if you think about it, satellite navigation's telling me where to go, the cruise control's making sure I don't crash into anything, the lights will come on when it goes dark, the wipers will come on if it starts to rain. What am I for? I know this costs £85,000, but really it is worth every single penny. It's a fabulous, fabulous car. However, Audi thinks it has an Achilles heel. They think there's a chink in its armour, and they've slipped in there with their rival for it, the A8. It seems to be the same as the Mercedes. Quite a lot cheaper at around £60,000, but still big, imposing, and very German. There's the same number of toys, too, and the same astonishing attention to detail. Like Mercedes, Audi employ a team of people who check every car before it leaves the factory to make sure that the smell coming from this piece of leather on the steering wheel doesn't clash with the smell coming from this piece of leather or this piece. So they're like sommeliers. Obviously they couldn't get a job in the German wine industry, could they? They had to work for the car firms. However, there are some subtle differences between this and the Mercedes. Its V8 engine feels more muscular than the Merc's V12, and it's louder, more there. With four-wheel drive, it's more sure-footed through the corners too, especially when it's raining, so you feel more connected, more in charge, less of a passenger. The Audi then is more of a driver's car than the S-Class. The steering's a bit dead, like it is in all Audis actually, but I can use this button here to adjust the harshness of the suspension. Put it in dynamic, there we are. And then I've got these paddles behind the steering wheel, so I have some control over the automatic gearbox. This is a limousine GTI.
So it's better than the Merc?
No. Not even slightly. You see, the thing is it's kind of better to drive, for sure, but the Mercedes is more refined and more comfortable.
Right.
And I think the best way to describe the difference between these two cars is World Cup final, okay? 10 million people watched that on the BBC. 2 million watched it on ITV. Now, ITV's coverage, like the Audi, just as good. But when you're taking on an institution like that, or the BBC, you can't be just as good. You've got to be 20 times better. And anyway, frankly, if you want a sporting limousine, we've got something later in the programme that blows this into the middle of next week.
So Audi have taken their swing at the Mercedes and they've sort of missed. Jaguar are next to step into the ring in this heavyweight contest with this, their new XJ. Well, not this exact one, obviously. On the ones they sell to real people, they'll put some paint on it, I presume. It is a handsome car and it's long. It's as long as the S-Class. But that's not going to be enough alone to tempt the world's plutocrats away from their beloved three-pointed star. It needs to be special, and it still is inside. You still get that cosseting feeling with this high centre console and quite sombre dark wood and swathes of leather. It's still a lot like riding in a mobile gentleman's club.
Don't be deceived, though, because behind that wood and leather veneer, this is a very, very high-tech car. Think of it as being like a tweed spacesuit. No, I'll explain, I promise. You see, like the Audi, okay, it's made from aluminium, but it's built in a completely different way. This, okay, this is the Audi. Now, it's got an aluminium skeleton onto which all the aluminium body panels are bolted. So you've got the weight of the skeleton and then the weight of the panels. Now, the Jaguar is more like a lobster, okay?
A lobster?
A lobster. It's got an exoskeleton. What you see here, this is the structure. That's it.
A lobster?
Exactly. You don't get it, do you?
No.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
He gets it. You know exactly what I mean. That means it's light. It means you haven't got doubling up. It means that you're going to go, you have more speed, you'll have more economy, you'll be kinder to the environment.
A lobster?
Give in. Let's do the news, shall we? Let's do the news.
Absolutely. And new news this week, new Nissan Almera. Well, it's kind of a facelift, really. A couple of new engines, a couple of petrol engines on them. Diesels to follow, but the most important thing about the Almera they're changing is the stupid names. Now, on the old one, it's quite complicated. They did an Almera E, that was the entry level. They did a Sport Plus and a Sport SE Plus, but they also did a Twister and a Hurricane.
Yeah.
No, not a Nissan Almera Hurricane.
It's kind of just mad optimism, isn't it? Hoping if we call it a Hurricane, it'll be really exciting.
Here it is, the Nissan Light Breeze coming towards us now. The Nissan, whoops, there's a draft coming from somewhere.
It's a
Well,
bit
the new
blowy
one's an
out.
S, an SV and an SVE, so much easier for
Bit
all
simpler.
of us.
The new Nissan 350Z here. Astonishingly good car, this. Very pretty car, and with quite a good bloodline. Well, started off well with the 240Z back in 1969. Nissan then made it a little bit worse with the 260, worse again with the 280, and then it got to the Nissan 300, which was dangerously bad.
It really was that.
Yeah, you just had to think about it. It could kill you.
Stop now.
This is
Well,
quite
just
dangerous.
whatever, if you're doing this at home, don't think about
Leave
it.
it.
Anyway, they're back to basics now with the 350Z. It's got a 3.5-litre V6 engine in the front. It's got rear-wheel drive. It's a two-seater. And by all accounts, it's absolutely wonderful to drive. Except we're not going to find out because
All they can make for the next year are going to the septics and...
Septics being, that's...
septic tanks. Americans.
Yanks.
Americans, yeah. The septics are having everything they can make for a year. And this is happening time and time again nowadays. You know, the Volvo XC90, great car, that 7-seater Volvo off-roader. They've just put the launch date back of that in Britain till the spring because of the septics. Volkswagen Beetle, that was nearly a year. That was completely out of date by the time it got here because of the septic. So actually what the European car industry needs to do, really, or Japanese, is make a car that they don't want.
Sort of American-proof.
American-proof car. So you get the seat and you get a plaster cast of Kate Moss's bottom, and then they won't get into it, and then the cup holder, make it about that big, just for a little espresso or some Red Bull.
Rather than this sort of thing there.
So they can't get their styrofoam buckets with 2 gallons of water and half a granule of coffee. Hey, you want to just go easy on that. Can't get that. And the boot, okay, the boot exactly an inch shorter than a golf club.
Oh, that'll get him. So I think it's going to go in, but it just doesn't quite do.
But sadly, they are making cars for the Americans, and we just have to wait until they've gorged themselves. Serious point now. In the papers this week, Wiltshire County Council have, and not just in villages, but actually on the A360 as well, removed the white lines because they say this will create a feeling of uncertainty among drivers, making them more cautious.
Well, yeah, it will.
No, that's actually not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter. Seriously, someone's going to die as a result of this. Now, I don't mind if environmentalists who dream this kind of stuff up sit at home with their guardians. What you do in the privacy of your own kitchen's fine. Eat your vegetables, wear your potato shoes. Don't bring your idiotic ideas onto the road, OK? Someone will be killed.
Another story from the newspapers this week about manufacturers making claims for their cars that they're more economical than they actually are. You know, when you look at the MPG figures, you get 3. There's the urban, which is your town driving, that's the lowest. Extra urban, which is the highest figure, that's for kind of motorway fast stuff. And the combined, when they do a difficult sermon, they come up with a number. What people are saying is those figures are a little optimistic.
Well, they are, because they test their cars on rolling roads and machines. They don't have no white lines to worry about. They don't have traffic lights to slow down for, you know, the ones on Regent Street that are red for 2 minutes, and that's what does you. What I always do, actually, piece of information, is basically look at the urban figure, because as a general rule, that's what you get out of a car.
The lowest figure.
The lowest figure, the one that they say you get around town, your average figure will be that. Except the car I brought down this morning, OK, from Mercedes, they say, look at this is my note paper here, they say that the combined figure, that the average I'm supposed to be able to do, is 19.9 miles to the gallon. Now, on my system, the urban figure is 13.5. Would you like to guess what I actually did from London down to the Top Gear base this morning?
10? 11?
6.5 miles.
That is good, isn't it? That's plenty of fuel.
6.5. That's astonishing.
Right. Well, we've talked enough about Fat Cat Transport this evening. Now I'm going to show you a car that is movement for the masses. And this car is so hot at the moment, it's setting the used car market alight. In fact, if you visit the Auto Trader website, you'll find that these cars are getting an inquiry every 25 seconds. That's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Every 25 seconds, someone is looking for one of these. So in the course of this programme, 144 people are trying to find a second-hand one. It's the Peugeot 206. So we know that you want to buy one. Let's show you how to. hard to see why the 206 is on so many shopping lists. It's a nice car to drive. And I don't mean soft and mushy, I mean it's a really pleasant thing to be in. And then, of course, there's those looks.
And although that design is 4 years old, it still looks absolutely great. In fact, I'll bet you if you buy one of those today, in a couple of years' time, it'll still look better than the rivals.
And it's classless too. It's got so much charm that it fits in anywhere. And even though it's a mass market car, it's got enough character to make anyone who drives it feel a bit special, which is quite a rare trick to pull off. But let's get down to practicalities. 4 years into its life, and the 206 hasn't yet thrown up any big faults. The main complaints are just squeaks and rattles from poor trim finish. The sunroof sliding mechanism in particular can get worn, so check this on your test drive. But since most 206s come with either a sunroof or air conditioning, you do have a choice.
You're better off going for one with aircon, like this one. It'll cost you a few £100 more, but it's well worth it.
The switchgear can also be a bit delicate, so check all the buttons function properly. If, say, an electric mirror isn't working, it may just be the switch rather than the electric motor that's the problem. And on the plus side, the 206 petrols have got the longest service interval of any car in their class. That's 2 years or 20,000 miles.
Engines. I'd avoid the 1.1. It has to work awfully hard for a living, and it's not really up to the job. You're far better off getting a 1.4 or 1.6. Although on the 1.6, watch out, because they can be prone to cam belt problems quite early on in their life. So for me, I'd buy a 1.4, save myself a few £100 and enjoy the performance.
Now, with big German executive saloons, I've got no trouble recommending a car that's done 80,000 miles. But I'm not going to do the same with a small hatchback, especially if you're aiming to run the car for a good few trouble-free years. I'd play safe. Look for one with under 50,000 miles that's still got some of the 3-year manufacturer's warranty left.
So for me, the perfect combination would be a 206, 1.4, about 3 years old with about 30,000 miles on it, full service history, get one with the aircon, metallic paint, and you can pick one of those up for about £5.5 grand.
Recap then, basically look out for switches and look out for dodgy sunroofs.
Yeah.
The only thing that confuses me about it is if there's this huge demand for it, which there obviously is, isn't that inflating the price? I mean, you say £5,500 for a 1.4.
Yeah, the prices are strong on them second hand. I mean, you could go and buy something like a Ford Fiesta Clio, same sort of age, same kind of spec, probably for about £1 grand less.
Well, why wouldn't you do that?
Because if you buy one of these, A, it's a pretty car, B, it drives nicely, and C, although you spent £1 grand more now, come to sell it in 2 or 3 years' time, you're going to get most of that money back. So it's not like spending £1 grand, it's like loaning £1 grand.
Yeah,
you're going to get it back.
OK, well, there we are, 206. Probably the best used buy on the market today, then. Right, it's time now to put a star in our reasonably priced car. We've got celebrities queuing up to try out the Liana on our track. But our guest this week, he needed a bit of encouragement, a shoehorn even. Let's meet him, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan Ross! They are beautiful.
Well, you know what, and this won't surprise you, I've got a matching leather cap, but sadly I couldn't find it this morning.
Pants?
No pants on today, as you requested.
So, you're not a driver, then?
I am a driver. I drive cars all the time. I'm often to be found in my deluxe family Toyota Previa, taking the children to school.
You have a Toyota Previa?
Yeah, and it's a fine vehicle.
I've always argued, so you drive a sports car, fine. You've got a people carrier, all those seats. It's like, hey, everyone, mine works fine. Look how many children I've produced.
I like the look of that silver car you've got on here.
Oh, the Jaguar.
I accidentally keyed it on the way in. That's not a problem.
No, it isn't a problem because it's got no paint on it. It's just fantastic. We all want that.
What a car!
I know. I want to talk about your car. Not your Toyota Previa, not your family transport.
That's the family wagon.
The family wagon. I want to talk about your Mazda MX-5. Would you like to tell the nice ladies and gentlemen what colour you've painted it?
She's a beaut. She is a sort of just a slightly, you know, the duck egg blue. She's like a shade up from the duck egg blue, kind of a light turquoise.
A kind of powder blue, and it's your own colour.
It's my own cut. Well, no, actually, I didn't do that. My wife bought it for me for my 40th birthday, and she covered the seats in pony skin.
Pony skin?
Yeah, I mean, like the back, not the head of the pony, like the back. I think there's a bit of a leg over there. I'm not sure.
Actually, I just want to... Can I just interrupt? I want to make it quite plain that no ponies were peeled for the making of your car. It's not real pony skin.
Yeah, it's real
It
pony
is
skin.
real pony skin.
Well, it better be the amount it cost her.
So is this more important to you, the aesthetics of a car, plainly with pony skin and powder blue, more important than the engine and the rear-wheel drive delicate balance?
I have no interest in how fast a car can go. I have absolutely no interest in how it steers, what's going on under the bonnet, how much petrol it consumes, what even the word torque means.
Nobody knows.
You made that word up. I believe when you started rewriting car journalism, you invented several words you threw in just to confound and perplex people, and in the true style of the Emperor's New Clothes, no one's called you on it, and now, Clarkson, I put it to you, torque does not exist.
Torque? All I can tell you about torque is that it comes in lumps. It's not a little thing. You don't get it in an espresso cup.
But I hear it's expensive because torque isn't cheap. What's wrong with that? Well, make your own jokes up then.
That's just the worst one we've ever had.
Torque's not cheap.
So, what's the fastest you've ever driven? I know that sounds like an Alan Partridge.
I'll tell you one. Now, relax. I'm telling you this. Many years ago, I had an RX-7 motor vehicle. Black with a leather interior. It had an engine called a rotary Wankel. Not an easy one for me to get my lips around. I once took this beast, and I know it's against the law, and I know it's wrong, and I wasn't on Das
Perhaps it was in Germany.
No, it wasn't in Germany.
Perhaps it was on the Isle of Man.
No, it was on the way to Maidstone.
Oh, no, wait, sorry, we've had a complaint about this. I now have to look disapproving, OK?
I was young, I was foolish, OK? Anyway, I took it up.
Is this disapproving enough?
Look, that's your orgasm face, Jeremy, isn't it?
It is the same thing. No, it's just that JK came on and said he got from Rome to London in, like, 13 hours, and apparently I went... and I should have gone.
You should do. You don't encourage other young pop stars.
So this 100 miles an hour to Maidstone.
I did 100 miles an hour, that's right. I went up to 100 miles an hour. But I tell you, it's not for everyone, because as I got, and the needle was wavering, I thought, oh, I'll give it the extra. And I went up, and the Wankel in the back was spinning beautifully. As I got up to 100, I was sweating so much, I had to pull over and rest. And I was sweating.
100 miles an hour.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I know.
There's no need for a man to travel that fast on land.
No, there is.
There's no need whatsoever. It's ridiculous, it's dangerous, and it makes your heartbeat go up.
Which is good.
No,
Feels
that's not nice. I like to drive along, ideally. What I like is a car, dog's head out the back window, maybe body attached as well, doesn't matter, but the effect... Possibly a pipe.
Slippers.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Delicate feel.
A leather patch there.
Now, you once argued cars are dangerous.
They are.
Why are they dangerous?
Because I've got a love-hate relationship with cars that I think a lot of people have who live in cities, because I want to use my car, I want to drive my car, I don't want other people using their car while I'm using my car.
No, I think that's fair enough.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
I think it could be the clothes you wear that is the scary part of driving.
You think so?
No, I think we should have dip beam on your tie.
You think it's too
bright?
bright?
Yeah, it would dazzle people coming the other way.
You're so rude. You sit there in your, what is that, some sort of turquoise synthetic nylon shirt.
Has a battery. It's
I made an effort.
Supply.
I think I'm the only guest on your show who's made an effort. I thought, I'm seeing Clarkson today, you know, the show is lacking glamour, I'll dress up, give the ladies of a certain age a little bit of crumpet.
Where are the ladies? Where are the ladies? Where are the...
They've gone outside to get some fresh air because they're overcome.
Of course, you're not just here to pass the time of day.
No.
You are, of course, here because you are a star. And you elected, let's say, to go in our reasonably priced car. Were you a bit nervous about this?
I was a bit worried because I've never driven a car on a track like that. I've never tried to drive a car fast, really. And I know that's one mean mother of a vehicle you got out there. And I tell you, that baby, she handles.
Everybody's coming out going, that's a serious car you've got there.
I tell you, that's a motor and a half.
It's a